I'm from a little village called Stanley, originally from Sunderland. Your average cheeky little Sunderland kid, you know. I was never a fighter. In fact, the opposite, I'd keep away from fighting. My dad was a fighter. My dad was ABA boxing champion at the age of 18, and my dad always wanted me to follow in his footsteps. But I didn't really understand. It was only when I got into my teens that I realised what combative sport was. I was attacked at the age of 18, got on the local metro train home, and when I got off the train across the platform, there was what looked like somebody kicking a black bin bag on the floor, and I realised it was a person. So I shouted across, tell him to stop. The guy looked over, stopped, ran off, and when I walked up to get my bus at the top, the guy who'd been beating him up was with all his friends. Needless to say, they all chased me down and gave me the biggest kicking of my life. I had broken ribs, I was in hospital for 3 days. You know, it was a really bad time in my life. And I refused to go out the house. I refused to leave the house. So what my dad did was one of the spare bedrooms, he hung a punch bag, an army kit bag. You know, he filled that up, and that's where the machine began, in his bedroom. So I went off to a weight training gym after that, and that got me back out the house. To be a doorman back in the day, you kind of had to be a little bit of a rebellious guy, you know. You had to be a bit of a fighter, you know, and I thought, right, I want to do this. And I became a doorman for 28 years. Basically what happened, how I got into mixed martial arts was I had a street fight. Now, all I knew back then was how to punch someone in the face. That's all I knew. You know, I won the fight. He was a mess, I was a mess. I had a black eye. And as I'm cleaning myself up, one of the doormen turned around and went, Ian, you should have choked him unconscious. You should have armbarred and broke his arm. So I got a bit annoyed. I went, what do you mean? Break his arm, choke him unconscious? And he said, jiu-jitsu. And I went, what? He went, jiu-jitsu, it's a martial art. He went, you can choke people unconscious by the lapels of the shirt. And I went, no way. He went, seriously, you can't. He went, there's a club down the road that does it. Every Wednesday and Saturday. I was there the following session, and the rest is history. When I started doing the jiu-jitsu side of things, I heard about MMA, I heard about UFC. A friend of mine lent me UFC 1, 2 and 3, and when I watched it I thought, wow, this is crazy. You know, a 500-pound sumo wrestler against a 200-pound guy, and a boxer wearing one boxing glove against, you know, Hoist Gracie, one of the best grapplers in the world. It amazed me. I was like, I want to try this. So when I started the gym, I was training for 6 months, and I said to my coach, I want to fight. So I found a fight down in Milton Keynes. It was bare knuckle. It was competition style, so you had to fight 3 fights on the night to win the title. Went down there, had 3 fights, won all 3, became the British champion on my first competition. From there, I just got the bug. I was unbeaten, I was young, I was, you know, I just wanted it. I fought a guy called Travis Fulton. Travis Fulton at the time had 86 fights.
And Travis Fulton is looking to finish his opponent.
And I was unbeaten in Britain with 7 fights under my record. Again, it was one of those fights where everybody says, you know, how can somebody so experienced like Travis Fulton not beat Ian Freeman? I broke his jaw in the 2nd round by a ground and pound, and he quit. He refused to carry on the fight. About a month later, he was supposed to fight Scott Adams in the UFC, and with him being injured, the UFC basically turned around and went, right, well, who's the last guy to beat Travis Fulton? I went to America on my own, no cornermen, no nothing, jumped on the plane, so excited. As soon as it took off and got in the air, I thought, what the hell am I doing?
Preliminary matchup in the heavyweight division, Scott Adams and Ian Freeman.
And I was fighting against one of the best leg lock specialists in the world. Unfortunately, I lost, but it was a good experience. I put up such a good fight, they invited me back. There's 2 things can happen if you get beat. You can dwell on it, or you could do what I did and think, it's never going to happen again. Any man that stands in front of me is going to get hurt. There's no way I'm going to get that feeling of a loss again. And then I fought Nate Schroeder.
Here we go, heavyweight preliminary matchup.
Again, another tough fight, but it all went my way.
Now come the punches.
There was a lot of rules that were still in that aren't in today. And one of them was knees to the head on the ground. And in that fight, I got the side control. I adjusted myself and then kneed him twice in the temple.
Oh, Mario Yamasaki stops the fight. Ian Freeman victorious.
It was the breakthrough fight, but also it was an acknowledgement to myself. You've done it, you've made it now. Nobody can see otherwise. UFC 38, Royal Albert Hall. I didn't even know that was going to happen. Now, the Royal Albert Hall is such a prestigious arena, so when I got the call for that, I was so excited. I knew Frank Mir was going to be the biggest fight of my career.
Now looking for the submission. He's got the arm. Can he finish? Here's the tap. How quick was that? How good was that?
Frank Mir was the poster boy of the UFC at the time. Dana White basically told the whole world that he was the biggest, the best, unbeaten. Nobody can beat him. This is the guy to watch. Josh Barnett had just became the UFC heavyweight champion at the time. I sent him an email just as a whim. I wasn't expecting a reply back, and basically said, look, I've got the biggest fight in my career. I'm going to be fighting Frank Mir in England. I'd love to come and train with you. I got an email back, and he went, yeah, I'd love to train with you. He says, but I'm going to ask you one question and one question only. Will you quit? And I replied back and went, no way. He says, okay, that's the deal. He went, the day you quit is the day I'm sending you back home to England. From that day, he tried to kill me. That man tried to kill me. His job and his sole job was to see if I would break. I didn't think that the body could do as much, be beaten up as much, and train as hard as what I did. It was a 6-week fight camp. It turned into 4 weeks because I got the devastating news that my father had cancer. Diagnosed with just a few weeks left to live. Obviously the whole family was devastated. I told my mum, I'm not going to fight, that's it, I can't fight. How can I fight with this on my mind? It's ridiculous, I just can't do it. It's you know, it can't go on. So my mum said that I'll never forget the words, and this is what gave me the inspiration to beat the shit out of Frank Mir. She said, you know your dad was a boxer. You know he was so happy and loved it when you became a fighter. She went, beat him up, come home, give your dad the best going away present ever.
The Royal Albert Hall, the enthusiasm, the pageantry unpriced as the gates of the Octagon have gone global. A premiere for mixed martial arts tonight here in the UK.
It was a sold-out crowd, 5,000 people, and I'd like to think people were excited to watch me because they knew I was going to throw down every single fight, win or lose. I feed off the crowd, I mean, absolutely. So when I walk out, I basically just look at the floor, you know, and Bruce Buffer's give my introduction, and then he announces my name, Machine Freeman, and I just look up and I just hold out my arms. And I just take in all this atmosphere. Unbelievable. Absolutely loved it.
Machine Freeman, undoubtedly this is the biggest fight of his life. And with that, with the pressure and the opportunity, victory is paramount.
I like being the underdog, but if I lose in England, on my home turf, in front of everybody thinks I'm a failure. So there was a lot of pressure to win. And I had to win that fight for one specific person, one special person in my life.
Are you ready? Let's get it on, come on!
The Machine against Frank Mir.
I knew we'd like to throw kicks, and high kicks as well. So I was going to block the kicks and I was going to come in with some big heavy hands. He then decided to shoot for me, take me down. But I sprawled on him, got on top, and I thought this is the time to start hurting him.
Oh, a big right by Machine Freeman.
I caught him with some big bombs with the uppercuts. You know, I must have hit him about 6 or 7 times and his head just rocked back. There's one part of the fight where he's got me in a leg lock, one of the most vicious submissions that MMA can offer. I was in excruciating pain, but I vowed never to give in. I don't care how much this is hurting, I am not going to stop. I think on a normal fight, without the thought of my father in my mind, I would have probably tapped to that. I leaned forward, grabbed the back of his head, and I hit him about 5 or 6 times in the face. That looks like I'm just grabbing his head and hitting him in the face. It's not. I'm actually taking the pressure off my knee and my ankle. And when I got back to my feet, the whole arena just started shouting, Freeman, Freeman. He shot with a half-hearted, sloppy shot, and I sprawled on him again. And then once I managed to pass his guard with ease, that's when I knew That's when I came down with a barrage of elbows. Hammer fists, elbows, I was just cutting him to bits.
Mir is in trouble. 45 seconds remaining in round one.
He wasn't defending it, he was just taking it, and that's when I knew I'd broke him.
You want to continue? You want out? You want to continue?
It's over! It's over! McCarthy has stopped the fight! Ian Freeman has defeated Frank Mir!
I won in the first round.
The Machine! Ian Freeman!
I dedicated the fight to my dad, because I'm still thinking my dad is watching this, because it was live on the TV. I can't wait to tell him, you know, Dad, I've just beaten the UFC poster boy. You know, I've did it, Dad, I've did it. And then I phoned home, and he died the day before. They said, there's no way you would have fought, because they know how much I love my dad. They said, there's no way. If I told you you'd lost and you got in there with that on your mind, I could have been hurt badly, but it gave me the inspiration to win for my dad, so I'm pleased. I'm pleased they didn't tell me, because it was the best fight in my career. My dad was there. He was there, not in person, but in soul. I always wished I was there to say goodbye, but I think that fight was my goodbye present.
So for you, Daddy, I love you.
All a son wants to do is make the father proud, and you know, that's what I wanted to do, and I think I did it.